Hey,
Hello. How's it going?
good. How are you?
I am doing well. I can't believe it's been 2 years since we've done this.
2 years? It's a lot of wine we could have been drinking together.
I know. How's California?
Oh, it's a beautiful day.
Amazing.
Yeah. How about, I hear it's raining there.
It might be. It was very hot today. I finished my run at like 8:30 a.m. and it was already 85 degrees. So it's
Oh,
definitely not feeling like Rosh Hashanah yet, but
no, I
hopefully.
just went out to pick a pomegranate for for the spread here, and
uh
it's definitely starting to feel like, it's 72 degrees. It starts to feel like fall in LA.
Yeah, that's true. Amazing. Well, it looks like we got lots of people joining. We have tons of good wines to share today. Rob and I actually only picked one of the same to taste. So we're going to take you through a whole different exploration of different wines. And the way we usually try to do it is we keep everything accessible and fun. Obviously, we're going to talk you through what we like about everything. And we're also going to go from the lightest bodied and the whites all the way through. We have a rosé for you tonight and a red. And along the way, we're going to talk about some Rosh Hashanah foods that might taste good with it or go well with it. But we're just going to have some fun, basically. Um, Rob, what are some of the things, you're really our resident foodie, as your handle also implies. What are some things that you think about as you're like building out a menu and wines to go with it, especially around the holidays?
You know, it's kind of my overall thought about the high holidays is we think we treat them like they're too
Mm,
heavy. Like it
yeah,
should be fun. Like,
yeah,
the idea of having a time to really let go of your past and move forward in life and change, it should be joyous. It should be a celebration instead of like, oh God, I gotta go to shul, blah, 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 all the things we kind of grew
yeah.
up with. And so you try to make it should be as festive as any other holiday. And, we got some recommendations from my friend Jeff Morgan, who runs Covenant Winery. And he said, why don't Jews have champagne on New Year's? Like non-Jews have champagne on New Year's.
Right,
And it started me to think, yeah, why is that? Like, it's our New Year's. Like, have
right.
some champagne, have some sparkling wine, have some rosé. We have one of his rosés to try today. And I think the same with the food. Like you should have a really festive meal. It should have something you haven't had. Something I learned a long time ago at Rosh Hashanah. You should always have something new on the table to make a blessing over. So a new fruit that you haven't tried, or something you haven't eaten for a year, or a dish you've never made before. But that's it. Keep it fun, keep it festive, um, and keep it new.
100%. Yeah, well, we have some old and some new. Some bottles we're really excited to try that are new. We have some Greek wines tonight,
Yeah.
which is pretty new to the kosher world as far as I'm aware. But Rob, why don't we start with the California White that you got? Tell us about it.
Well, I was really excited to try this. It's called Hajdu Pinot Blanc from the Anderson Valley, which is, by the way, where I spent my honeymoon, up in Mendocino, near Mendocino County. And Pinot Blanc is, I think it's a mutation or some kind of variety of the Pinot Noir grape. And this came super highly recommended by the people at the wine store here in LA, the Kosher Wine Store. It's kind of a very cool label. The same vineyard, it's based in Berkeley, and all their wines are from Northern California. Um, okay, my big tasting note, this is really delicious.
Very technical, yes.
Very technical. No, I mean, I think it's perfect because I really taste. I mean, I'm not a wine expert by any means, but I really taste a lot of apple in this. Not like cider, like apple cider, but just a hint of apple. I think this would be an amazing for your first course of apples and honey. Um, this would be amazing. I know it's a grape that they use a lot in Germany and Austria. It's totally drinkable. I really like this wine. It's got body, but it's got that really um, like a like an apple fruit flavor to it. It's really good.
Amazing.
What do
So
you
that was the Hajdu Pinot Blanc,
I,
2021.
it's about, what is this? It's about all the wines I got were around 25 to 30 bucks a bottle. This is $30 a bottle. And I was looking on their site. They also make a kosher vermouth, which looks really interesting. And a couple other kinds of non-wine liqueurs that look really great.
Very cool. Yeah. So it sounds like it's a little bit fruity, which makes sense. Generally, when we think of wines, there's New World, which is all the Americas, and there's Old World, which is Europe, Asia, Africa, that area. And generally, as a general rule, the New World is fruitier and the Old World is more minerally, and the acidity depends. But on that note, we're going to switch to, I found a Sancerre wine, which is a French version of Sauvignon Blanc. If you like more acidic stuff, and I'm going to use my Corvin, which is a cool little tool that lets me one glass at a time here. I also brought a bucket, but you may have inspired me to just solidly drink.
Oh, yeah.
But
you know, it's 6 o'clock, you know. I don't know, it's late there too.
Yeah, it's 9 o'clock. Let's see if I can
drive somewhere.
Yeah. No. You don't drive here, Rob. Come on.
I know, so
Okay, let me see. So, using my forward glass. Wow, this smells super appley. Also, actually, like very green apple. Let's see. Wow, yeah. I would say that this is a great first glass also to go with your simanim of apples and honey. I'd recommend probably having this first so you don't, break your brain with the acidity, but very light, very appley.
The color, I mean, at least on Instagram, the color looks very light.
It's super light. It's super, super pale. Really, the only note I'm picking up is that green apple. Usually a Sancerre will have like a very minerally undertone. This really doesn't. So if you're just looking for something very refreshing, very straightforward, yeah, this is excellent. Not at all what I expected, but
What is that?
This one is about $35 a bottle, I think. It's Sancerre by J.D. Villebois, I think. I'm going to butcher every part of that.
Get the Sancerre right.
We'll post all the wines with links on kosherwine.com very soon, probably tomorrow. But yeah, Rob, what do you have next for us?
Next is this Tabor Sauvignon Blanc. So Tabor is a winery in the Lower Galilee in Israel. And the Sauvignon Blanc, is also very light in color. Wow, it's really fragrant. A lot of kiwi and citrus. Wow. Also guava. Like if you walked in the shuk in Israel when guava season and they overpower the smell.
I love that.
Wow, kosher wines are coming up in the world. Newsflash.
What's going on with it?
This is it's got body and it's really light, but this has a ton of flavor. And again, when you drink it, that guava smell and the kiwi just come out into your nose, and then this is great. It would go great with figs, which are another simanim, another symbol of Rosh Hashanah. It would go. It's a really drinkable and fragrant wine. Tabor, I think it's $27 a bottle.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I think it was $20 when I checked it.
I think it's cheaper. And Lower Galilee, and this is something, it's 11% alcohol. I know this is one of those wines that you don't have to, a lot of wine stores carry it, which is a nice thing. You walk into a store and get this.
I've definitely seen it before. Yeah, that's really nice. Especially serving like chicken with a fruit sauce having that kind of complementary pairing
Yeah,
can go.
Rosh Hashanah, you eat a lot of things that are semi-sweet or sweet and sour or sweet and salty, and so these white wines make a lot of sense, and they really complement it. Well, I was impressed with that.
Yeah, I'll have to check it
Have a
out.
little more while you Corbin your next bottle.
Yes, I did my Corvin, yes. And I know that you were really hoping to try these Greek wines, so I'll try to do it justice for both of us. So we have two really interesting varieties that I think are new to the kosher market or are new to the biggest distributor, so probably will be more widely available. The first is by this company Todros. It's a Samina wine, and it's grown on the island of Samos in Greece. These are very old varieties. It's grown using muscat grapes, actually, which I think you more often find in like sweet wines, but this promises to be dry. So let's see here. Oh, it does not smell. Well, it can't smell dry, but wow, it almost reminds me of a port. Like it's just this deep. You definitely feel the alcohol right away. It's 13%. I haven't even drank it yet. Face, but almost like a fig note and like a little bit of currant. This is definitely going to be different than what we've tried so far. Wow. Yeah. It has such a deep richness to it. Like in the same way that a port has that deep note that it hits the back, this is very much like, I think if you didn't know wine well and closed your eyes, you might even think it was a red. But for the body, it's a very almost syrupy consistency, very like black currant flavors, a little fig flavor. I think
dry or semi-dry?
No, it's really dry, but it's very fruity in a way that you wouldn't expect necessarily. Wow, this would go super well, I think, again, with some sort of like sweet and sour sauce. Also, a lot of the simanim are like root vegetables. Yeah. This would go super well with any dishes that you make using that or pomegranates. Wow, yeah, it's almost like a golden raisin flavor also. Definitely not a typical, it's more medium bodied, I would say. And it's very interesting, but I'm going to have to use my bucket for the first time to try the other Greek wine that we have. This one's also new to the kosher market. It's a Yamas. I'm going to butcher the name of this grape, but it starts with an X. It's grown in Cyprus, and again, this varietal is used to make a very popular dessert wine in Cyprus. I'm going to say Sinisteri is how we're going to pronounce the varietal. So it's usually going to be in a sweet thing, but this is, again, a drier variety. I think this one's also around $20. Yeah, the last one and this was $20. You got all
these on kosherwine.com, right?
Yes, I got all of these on kosherwine.com. So they should be widely available, but if not, online is going to be a good bet. Let's see. Very different. This one's going to be super light. Like, it's lovely. Like really? Apricot, peach, jasmine. I probably should have tried this one first if I would have known. Super light bodied. This would go super well with, it's got a little bit of a tang. So if you're serving like a goat cheese dish or, yeah, it's very understated and very light, but definitely is getting more of those like countryside vibes of, grass and fresh hay.
Wow.
It's good. Yeah, both of them, if you're looking for something affordable and fun to try, both of these bottles, I can hold them back up again. This Todros Samina and this, I'm going to go with Yamas Sinisteri. Both really.
And they're around 20 or both, 30? What are they?
They were both 20, yeah, when I got them on kosherwine.com. So, yeah. Both really interesting. But We both have a rosé that
Should we try the rosé?
I think.
It's the
Which
one
year
thing we have
did you?
in common.
Yeah, which year did you get?
Oh, this is 2022.
Okay, same. And we're kind of cheating, I think, because we both love we both love Covenant. We both love Jeff Morgan, who runs the winery. He happens to be the guy that introduced rosé to the United States in large part.
Huh.
So he is the rosé guy, and you can definitely tell.
Rosé or kosher rosé?
I think rosé.
Wow.
He was one of those later in life switching to the kosher world, and we all benefit immensely from his transition.
Yeah. Have the Covenant wines go for hundreds of dollars a bottle. That ups the upper tier of Covenant, and they're just amazing wines. And they also make a brandy. I think it's called Double Eagle. I can't remember the name offhand, but it is an amazing brandy.
I'll have to try it. This one I think is it ranges from like $30 to $40 a bottle, depending on what time of year.
Yeah, I think I paid 30 for this. 35.
Yeah, I think I got it for 32, but always good. It's always good. It's lightly minerally, but super heavily acidic.
Yeah.
In general, if you are having any sort of acidic like sauce or whatever on the food that you're serving, you want the acid in the wine to be able to stand up to it.
You know what this is good? This is a good brisket wine.
Yeah.
It would cut right through your mother's fatty brisket.
100%.
Like
100%. I love that. Yeah. It almost has...
Or your father's, if I made it.
It's definitely a little bit strawberry notes. I'm definitely picking up on. Yeah.
It's got, I think that's the dominant is strawberry, but also there's more mineraliness in it than fruitiness. Mm-hmm. It's much less fruity than the other two white wines. It's right in the middle between the white and the red.
Yeah, it's feeling a little more fruity for me, but I also just had two Old World ones.
Yeah. Also, just enough acid, but not too much. Really, really lovely.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would stand up really well to a variety of different foods, honestly. I mean, I can't think of a food that wouldn't be well served with something with good acidic oomph and good fruit flavor and a richness. And I took
this out of the refrigerator a little bit ago, so it's not like ice cold like a rosé or something, but it's just got it does have a lot of fragrance, and it's really drinkable, even like traditionally cold.
Yeah, I took mine out about 30 minutes
That's
ago.
Good.
In general, for folks that may or may not know, in general, you're going to want to chill white wine and rosé, but generally take it out of the fridge like 20-30 minutes before. Red wine is usually best in the 50s and 60s. Today, my cheap wine cooler, I put it in front of my air conditioner for 2 hours. So we have...
The big news in my life, Laura, is I splurged on I think it's a 50 bottle wine cellar that keeps my red wine, because we had such a heat wave here in the summer. It's gotten so hot in Venice.
Yeah.
So I destroyed a bunch of bottles of wine, so I had to actually go out and get a cooler. And it really, it makes a difference. And the red wines coming out at cellar temperature, they just taste much better.
Yeah.
They really do.
And a lot of these bottles we're going to try, not the first few, but if you have something that is described on the label as, aged in oak barrels for 2 years, or, heavy, something from, again, Old World, you're going to want to open it usually about 30 minutes before you serve it. Also, a lot of the tannins, which are those like oaky chemicals that the wine picks up from the aging process, they're really astringent when they first come out. So letting the wine breathe a little bit is really going to help. When I use the Corvin, it kind of aerates it a little bit. If you don't have 30 minutes, something I've done before also is I literally just take like 2 cups and pour the wine back and forth a few times.
Or
get oxygen.
I actually think this thing works.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's also $20 or less. Yeah, but you definitely want to get oxygen into that wine. When you're tasting a bottle for the first time, it's sometimes nice to taste it at every expression of that openness, but you're gonna not have a great time if you're trying to drink a Bordeaux straight out of the bottle that's, aged for. But yes, but we're not quite there yet, right? You have a Pinot Noir for us first, Rob.
This is the Goose Bay Pinot Noir, and it's a small batch New Zealand Pinot Noir 2021. So Pinot, is that famously mercurial grape, thin-skinned. The wine's going to be a little lighter, but it should be a little fragrant.
Yeah.
It should be fragrant and full of flavor, even though it's lighter. It's got kind of like maybe I'm not enough of an aficionado. It's kind of got a watered down palm flavor.
Nice. Okay, so we're not a fan of the
Are
Goose
they a
Bay.
forward advertiser? Did I just screw up?
I don't think
Okay.
so. And
Okay.
for folks listening, when we say light-bodied, medium-bodied, full-bodied, the way I kind of think about the parallel is a light-bodied is going to have the mouthfeel of like a skim milk, whereas a full-bodied is going to have the mouthfeel of like a whole milk. Like it's just a little bit thinner experience on your palate.
Yeah, so this really, I think you hit it on when you said skim milk. I mean,
That's what this tastes like?
this kind of finished with that kind of skim milk where, boy, I feel like a glass of milk, but that wasn't it.
Yeah.
It's a New Zealand wine. It's from the coast. It's Pinot, which is a hard grape to make amazing. And I wouldn't buy it again.
Yeah. Yeah. What are the other than watery, what are you picking up on?
Kind of like it's just thin, like a thin leatheriness to it. And again, maybe I just have a super unsophisticated palate, but it just feels like, and I'm in California, so I've had some amazing Pinots from the Central Coast and from the Saldang area, but this doesn't have much else going on other than kind of a thin wine taste to it. A little bit like watered down, like I said, palm, hints of leather, but nothing like. I think I would bet. Yeah, it's mevushal, which means that they heat it so that it could be served by non-Jews, and I think that maybe affects it.
Interesting. Yeah, so the mevushal process, for those of you who are in the kosher world, it's gotten a lot better. Now they usually flash pasteurize a wine, and they claim that it doesn't degrade any of the ingredients. But in Goose Bay's defense, they make a really nice Sauvignon Blanc that I really like. That's very fruity and bold and good with, fish courses. It's disappointing to hear their Pinot Noir is not up to that standard. But
yeah, and again, I'm one guy's opinion. Yeah. What do I know?
Hey, it counts for something. So now you know. So moving into a little bit of a heavier bottle, I'm excited to try. I'm a big Bordeaux blend gal, so I am always surprised when there's a Bordeaux inspired variety that I haven't heard of or tried before. This is from Niveau, a winery in the Judean Hills of Israel. Is not mevushal, and France's Bordeaux region French in general. French wine inspires a lot of the way that other countries blend their varietals, and this is very much inspired by that. It has Cabernet Sauvignon with a little bit of Petit Verdot, which is more like a vegetable-y type grape, and Malbec. So let's see what we're working with here. And the Judean Hills has really minerally soil. I'm getting fruity. I'm getting that limestone nose, kind of berry. Wow, delicious. First thing you taste, raspberry jam, immediately that like complexity of flavor that you get with like a good summer berry. The wine is called Summer, so I guess that makes sense. I really smell the mineraliness on the nose, but it's pretty fruity. You get a little hint of like almost like a mentholated taste and a little bit of that, like one of my favorite grapes is Pinot Taj, which is a South African grape that I describe it as like asphalty, but in a good way. You have a tiny bit of that, but wow, this just
So,
like
just for my edification, is it Mavushal?
this one is not Novochal.
Yeah.
So it has not been flash pasteurized or anything. Just a really complex, but it evokes so many, I mean, like childhood memories of summer for me. It's just like not wine of like taking mulberry.
My childhood drinking Bordeaux blend on the sidewalk.
Yeah, no, this one is great, and it is $30 a bottle. So I'd say for the price, it really stands up well. And if you like fruitier wines, not sweet, but if you like fruitier wines, this definitely fits the bill. It's not giving me that like, you know, stand up to a porterhouse steak type of feeling, but with like a little bit of a calmer meal of like again those root vegetables, simanium and brisket. Yeah, this would be awesome for that.
Mm.
Yeah, yum. You have two more for us. What's the
I'm just having a little apple to clear my palate.
yes.
What am I going to do now?
I think we had the Herzog variation.
The Herzog.
Number 5, as it is named.
The Herzog Beleaf, Herzog Variations Beleaf. It's organic. It's a non-sulfite wine, no sulfite, certified organic. It says it's Mavushal, no added sulfites, made with organically grown grapes. It is Mavushal. So
that label kind of reminds me of Olive Garden.
Well, I felt like Herzog is an hour and a half away from here, their winery in Oxnard. And they make just such a variety, everything from kind of the average wine you get at every Jewish event to some really like high-end, beautiful wine.
Yeah.
And the restaurant, at least I haven't been since long before COVID, but it's really a good, maybe the best kosher restaurant in LA, even though it's an hour and a half away. So,
I never know if your hmms are good or bad.
Well, I just, I did something, I just opened it, so I'm just giving it a little chance to work on the glass. It's got, it's deep raspberry flavors, blackberry flavor, like crushed blackberries, and not that, like a beautiful smell, like a really beautiful scent. And it's really, it just fills your mouth. It's I'm trying to see, it's Cabernet, so it's got a lot of that depth to it, and it just makes you want to keep drinking it. It's a really nice wine. Yeah.
It was a good then. Okay.
It was a good one. And I think there's just a very strong soil flavor, which is a good flavor to me. Like it's not dirt, but just like earthy. It's got this really earthiness. It's got a real earthiness to it, and I think a lot of complexity.
Amazing.
It's a really nice wine, and this is I think $28 a bottle. So I'm gonna say, and Herzog is widely available everywhere, so you'll probably find it in a decently stocked kosher store.
Yeah, they're a major player. So for the last wine, I wanted to choose. It's hard to find like a really good, true Bordeaux blend for under like $5 a bottle in the kosher market that really stands up to like non-kosher Bordeaux's and really gives you that depth of flavor and complexity and oakiness without being too astringent. And I don't know if this one will fit the bill. I haven't tried it before. It was described on kosherwine.com as greedy, so a little frightened.
Little anti-Semitic tropes on kosherwine.com.
Maybe, yeah. This is so French wine. It tells you who made it or where it's made, the appellation, and then the year, what region it's in. So this is a true Bordeaux blend. It falls under the appellation from Chateau de la Anglaise, I suppose. About the English people, maybe? I don't know. I don't know French. We're going to butcher everything tonight. But
Chateau de the English?
Sure. But it's $24 a bottle. I'm not optimistic.
Why?
When you're evaluating Bordeaux's, the first thing that I always look for is, are you hit in the nose with that astringentness and then some complexity, or do you really just feel like you're smelling a Listerine bottle? And this one you can smell a bit of fruitiness, but I'm concerned. Let's see. Yeah, not loving this one. So when we talk about tannins, we're talking about that feeling that you get that kind of makes your tongue feel velvety. Yeah. A good tannin, and you're going to feel that velvet, but it's going to feel like you're running your finger the wrong way. And when you have a tannin that's a little bit not well developed, it almost feels like you're running your fingers the wrong way on velvet on your tongue, and that is definitely what I'm getting here. The fruitiness, you get a little like initial like stone fruit and berry, but it just very quickly turns into, again, that like super intense tannin. Perhaps I should let it breathe a little bit, but
why don't you try it in a little bit?
Yeah, you're just not getting that. With a good Bordeaux, you feel the tannin and it's soft, and you also feel the complexity building as the finish goes. And this one, it goes the opposite. You get a little bit good first, and then just blossoms into not great. So this one is not going to go on my recommendation list, unfortunately. But I'll try it in a few minutes after we try your last one, Rob.
Okay, so my last one is called Jezreel. Oops, there you go.
Oh, another good friend of the forward.
Who is?
Jacob, the winemaker for Jezreel.
Oh, really?
Yes. He is wonderful. He actually used to work in Washington politics and moved to Israel, started making wine. What I like about him, among other things, is he brings back a lot of the traditional Israeli grapes that have been out of not growing for a while. Which I'm curious, which grapes?
So it's 60% Shiraz and 40% Carignan, and this is a winery from Kibbutz Hanaton, which is, I think, near Nazareth, in northern Israel.
Jezreel Valley.
Yeah,
it gets its
in the Jezreel Valley, and it was highly recommended by the Cask, which is the big kosher wine store in LA, where I got all these wines, by the way, and and I think it got a 91 from Wine Enthusiast. So he really pushed this, and I was excited to try it. Wow, this is a serious red wine. It's got a ton of cherry, like deep cherry, and there's nothing vegetal. It's just like a deep, dark fruit to it. It's really rewarding. It's really good. I mean, it's a blend that's very low tannin. And it really, it's funny. The fragrance isn't amazing. Like, there's no evident any like fruit or it's got, kind of a woody, like whatever I guess it's French oak or something in the fragrance, but there's a lot of fruit and depth in the flavor of it. And this is like the kind of wine I drink a lot of.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting.
Um,
Uh,
if we're having a meeting right now, I'd like to say I drink a lot of this wine.
well,
I
it's
just like
interesting.
dark,
Yeah.
heavy, deep wines that you could have a long conversation over, and they last a long time in your palate. And I think it's about 28 bucks a bottle, and I really recommend it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I saw that he uses mostly used oak barrels to age his wine, which they use old sherry, and that gives it kind of that soft tannin. Like you said, it doesn't like feel abrasive at all. I mean, especially with a wine that's almost 15% alcohol, the fact that it's not hitting.
Alcohol in it. There's a big alcohol kick at the end, and it is Mavushal, so which makes me think maybe if it weren't flash pasteurized, it would be even better. I don't know, but it's got.
The other wine doesn't have a good excuse for being shitty.
Yeah. But you could, if you're a meat eater, this would be amazing with meat. And if you just like to have a bottle with friends, this would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So do you have another bottle left, or?
No, I don't. I mean, I'll give our home of the Englishmen another try here, but
I have some roasted beets with olive oil and salt, and this is a perfect foil for this wine.
the Bordeaux is opening a little bit, but a tannin really makes or breaks a good heavy red wine, and this one's tannin is just it's very corky. It's very abrasive. It's not. I unfortunately would not recommend this one, but yeah. So
I wonder like how much of it is like, is there variation between bottles or the way a bottle is stored? Because I don't want to like dismiss an entire, but maybe sometimes it's just not to the taste.
Yeah, it's also again in the kosher world to find Bordeaux under like $35 is pretty challenging because there's just not a lot of places that specialize in that. Even a lot of the wineries that specialize in kosher stuff are in California or in Israel, and I mean this Judean Hills Bordeaux inspired blend we tried was amazing, but it's a different alcohol that goes into it, and that was even a little fruitier. So when you get fruitier, you get a lot more room to play around with. But when you're working with those really earthy flavors, like just it can go south very quickly. But Rob, I'm curious, what did you think about as you were choosing which foods for this year specifically, and did you post any new things in the last couple of years that people can find on your Instagram or forward?
A couple of days ago, I posted a recipe for a vegan brisket.
Yeah. How has
which I have a little bit of right here.
Amazing. Tell me more about that. That sounds like
it's made with homemade seitan, which is wheat gluten.
Yeah.
And it's a recipe that I adapted from a barbecued vegan brisket recipe. And I have to say, this has now been in the fridge for a couple days, and it just gets better and better. I just had it. I had a bite before we started, just to have some food in my stomach. And I don't think it's, I would say the recipe still needs tweaking, even though I went ahead and posted it. But I think it needs tweaking, but I think it's really, especially if you're a vegan and you want to have something to pass over that's not a big dead cow, it's good, and it really holds up to the red wine. The sauce is amazing because it's basically your basic Ashkenazi onions and Madeira, and I threw in some beer and carrots, and it's really an amazing sauce. And then the actual meat of it, which is seitan, which is wheat gluten, is good, but I think it's still needs a little adjustment in the texture of it. And then I think I have some tagine recipes on the Forward website for a beef tagine, a real beef, which is great. And I think also on the Forward website, but certainly on Foodieism, I have my favorite high holiday dish, which is a beef stew stuffed inside a pumpkin and baked, which is great.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are
So,
you making?
so I am going to Friends this year, but last year I was home in the Ozarks, which is very far from any kosher meat. So I did a pescatarian meal that was really heavy on vegetables, was like a wild rice with carrots and beets that was really good. I did like a creamy leek soup situation, a honey salmon recipe,
Mm.
like a butternut squash. If you turned me on to still on, so I did like a with situation that was super good. And there were like 2 kosher bottles of wine in the supermarket, so we chose one of those. But I think some things to keep in mind when you're if you want to curate your food with your wine, which you totally don't have to, like it helps to try the food and the wine if you're going to do a few, taste tests and just to see. But some general principles is if you have like a really heavy wine, 2 things that are going to soften its heaviness are going to be salt and fat. So if you have like a brisket or a mushroom sauce or even like a really salty like the leek soup that I made, if it has salt and fat in high degrees, it can stand up to a heavier wine. And in general, your wine should also be more acidic than the food you're serving it with. So if you are doing like a lemon chicken or something, it's going to go much better with like a very acidic bright wine than like a heavier wine. But really all of these rules are meant to be broken and play around with, and you should try different bottles. If you have a wine shop that you like, often they will let you try things, and often before the holidays vendors will come in with samples. But I hope that some of the things we tried were helpful for folks if you were thinking about trying them or now we're inspired to try them, and we're always honest with how we feel about the the flavors. So I hope that came through. And Rob in particular is always posting great food content and great wine content, and so definitely follow him. And we're going to post all the wines that we tried with our tasting notes, and I'm going to post my menu from last year, hopefully tomorrow. But thank you guys on the East Coast for staying up late with us, and in California for ending the workday with us.
Yeah.
And thank you, Rob.
Great way.
Cheers.
Great workday too. Cheers. Thanks. Thanks a lot, Laura.
Bye.
Bye.